Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. That's depending where you are in the world. I'm here in London doing the nighttime devotion from the devotional Christ Triumphant. The title today, An Evil Character Leads to Apostasy. Genesis 9:25. Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall be unto his brethren. To repeople the desolate earth, which the flood had so lately swept from its moral corruption, God had preserved but one family, the household of Noah, to whom he had declared, Thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Yet in the 3 sons of Noah was speedily developed the same great distinction in the world before the flood. In Shem, Ham, and Japheth, who were to be the founders of the human race, was foreshadowed the character of their posterity. Noah, speaking by divine inspiration, foretold the history of the 3 great races to spring from these fathers of the human race. Tracing the descendants of Ham through the son rather than the father, he declared, Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. Evil characteristics were perpetuated in Canaan and his posterity, whose continued guilt called upon them the judgment of God. Though the prophetic curse had doomed them to slavery, the doom was withheld for centuries. God bore with their impiety and corruption until they passed the limits of divine forbearance. Then they were dispossessed and became bondmen to the descendants of Shem and Japheth. For a time, the descendants of Noah continued to dwell among the mountains where the ark had rested. As their numbers increased, apostasy soon led to division. Those who desired to forget their Creator and to cast off the restraint of his law felt a constant annoyance from the teaching and example of their God-fearing associates, and after a time they descended to separate from the worshippers of God. Accordingly, they journeyed to the plain of Shinar, on the banks of the river Euphrates. They were attracted by the beauty of the situation and the fertility of the soil, and upon the plain they determined to make their home. Here they decided to build a city, and in it a tower of such stupendous height as should render it the wonder of the world. These enterprises were designed to prevent the people from scattering abroad in colonies. God had directed men and women to disperse throughout the earth, to replenish and subdue it. But these Babel builders determined to keep their community united in one body and to found a monarchy that should eventually embrace the whole earth. The magnificent tower, reaching to the heavens, was intended to stand as a monument of the power and the wisdom of its builders, perpetuating their fame to the latest generations. Title again, Evil Character Leads to Apostasy. Now, I mentioned yesterday about Ham, Japheth, and Shem. And it was when Noah, through drinking his own wine he had made, got drunk, fell asleep naked. Ham came in, found him naked, laughed at him, and then went out and made fun of him to his brothers. Whereas Shem and Japheth came in, covered him up, and basically covered up the disgrace and didn't really disgrace their father, whereas Ham obviously mocked him. And this is why there was the curse come upon them, and Ham and his descendants. And this is about an evil character leads to apostasy. This is Ham's character, which then spread down to his generations. And it also says here about when the ark rested, the people all stayed and lived in and around the mountain there. But then there were those that didn't want to stay and live by God's commandments. And as it says here, they were annoyed. And they wanted to separate themselves from the worshippers of God. They didn't want to have the restraint of God's law. And so they separated themselves and they went down the mountain and spread themselves out. Now this is where it all comes down to, as it says, building the Tower of Babel. And we all know what happened there. It's all about self. So when you read about the Tower of Babel, it says, let us build ourselves a monument for ourselves, to make ourselves famous. It's all about self. And what then happened was that the tower didn't get finished because God could see what was happening. And this is where all the different languages of the world started to come around. Because as they were building, God confounded the languages, and then one could not understand the other, and all building had to stop. But I've gone on a bit too far. I think maybe that might be covered in another one perhaps. But this is mainly about an evil character does lead you to falling away from God, which it says here as apostasy. To fall away from God, to fall away from bearing his character and wanting to live that good life, righteous life. When you fall away from God, you say goodbye to your ticket to heaven, I suppose. Many people don't even want to go to heaven because they don't understand. And how can you understand if you don't read about it, study it? Because unless you know about something, how could you want to be there? And you find the majority of people have no idea really and truly what heaven is about. Do you?